How the heck are you supposed to know which egg you're supposed to buy? In this video, I'll explain everything you need to know and give you the 7 ways to make the perfect eggs. Let's go. What's going on, everybody? My name is Farnum, and you are now watching the 101 series here on More Seasoning. In this series, instead of just following recipes and not knowing what you're doing, we give you the knowledge and the information to make you a better at-home cook so you know what you're doing in the kitchen. Today, we are covering one of the basics, and that is eggs. There's a lot of things to talk about, different ways to cook them, different types of eggs, which one is best for you, and is the marketing fooling you? So, before we jump into that and I give you step-by-step instructions on how to make some of the perfect eggs, make sure you guys scroll down, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and drop a comment below and let me know what egg have you been buying until you watch this video. I'll waste no more time, let's get into it. All right, so eggs. Woo! We know they come from a chicken, but do you actually know which ones you should be getting? Let's start off by what color of egg is best. Okay, so if you're anything like me or most of America, you probably grew up on white eggs that came in these colored containers, right? And then a couple years ago, words like organic and cage-free came around and these brown eggs got really popular. I was like, okay, so the brown eggs are definitely healthier. These are the ones to go with. But the truth is, the difference between a white and a brown egg is just what the chicken looks like. This came from a white chicken, this came from a brown chicken. The nutritional value in these is exactly the same. If they were raised the same exact way and fed the same exact things, the eggs would have the same nutritional content. So the answer is color really doesn't matter. Next, let's get into labels. All right, so let's talk about size real quick. The color-coded cartons that we're all very familiar with, all that does is tell us size. So for example, the pink, they're large. The blues are medium, the greens are small, the whites are extra large. I actually took a video when I went to buy these eggs today, and in the egg section, these were the most purchased eggs. What's crazy is these are actually the most unhealthy eggs that you can buy. And it's not because of the size, it's because of how the chickens are raised. So let's jump into that. There are 4 main labels that you're gonna hear. There's caged chickens, there's cage-free chickens, free-range chickens, and pasture-raised chickens. So what the hell one are you supposed to buy and how are you supposed to know? All right, so we're gonna start with caged eggs and I'm gonna explain why these are the absolute worst eggs that you can buy for yourself. The life of a caged chicken, let me just explain to you. It lives in a 1 square foot cage for the entirety of its life. It does not move, it does not go outside, it does not fly, it has food come on a conveyor belt, and it has a hole in the bottom of the cage that the poop falls out. That's all it does. It eats, it poops, and it lays eggs. If I was in a 1 square foot cage my whole life and all I did was eat and shit, you know that I would be severely unhealthy. So therefore, the eggs that come from these chickens are also unhealthy. You can look it up. They lack nutrients that other chicken eggs have. All right, next, let's talk about cage-free chicken eggs. These are better, right? No. They're not. These chickens were stuck in a small cage. They took all those chickens and they basically just put it in one gigantic cage. These chickens get 1 square foot of room to move around. These chickens on average have 1 to 1.5 square feet to move around. They're literally confined in a barn. They never go outside. They never see sunlight. Again, the only difference is these guys are just packed in tight with each other and they're covered in poop. That's the only difference. There is no nutritional benefit to eating cage-free or caged chicken eggs. These are also not good. Next, let's talk about free-range chicken eggs. Now we hear the word free range. We're like, oh, these chickens are living it up. They're living their best life. They're out there, they're hustling, they're clucking, they're cooling, they're doing whatever they gotta do, right? They're eating grubs, whatever. The truth is, there really is no difference between the free-range chickens and the cage-free chickens. They're in the same exact barn, surrounded by all the same chickens, except there's a couple holes in the bottom of the barn that give chickens access to go out. Now, chickens like to herd together to stay warm, so they really don't go out, and the farmers do not encourage them to go outside. So you're basically looking at cage-free chickens that have the option to go outside, but they really don't. Now, of course, this is better than caged. It's better than cage-free, but there is a better option than this. And that is pasture-raised chickens. Let me explain this to you. It'll be very easy to understand. Caged chickens, 1 square foot of living space. Non-caged chickens, 1.5 square feet of living space. Free-range chickens, on average, 2 square feet of living space. Pasture-raised chickens, 108 square feet of living space per chicken. Not only do these chickens get to go find food naturally out in the wild like chickens are supposed to, they are allowed outside every single day from sunrise to sunset. So that means they are going out and they're eating grubs, worms, beetles, bugs, grass, the things that the animal is supposed to eat. What's really dope is this brand Vital Farms. If you go on their website, this is not sponsored by the way, you can look at the farm that your eggs came from and you can see they're just literally running around out in the wild. All right, I got that off my chest. So when it comes to these 4 different labels, cage-free, free range, pasture raised is absolutely the way to go, and it's not even a debate. Now, I'm not gonna blow smoke up your ass. These are like $7 and these are only like $3.50. The difference is, nutritionally and scientifically though, pasture-raised eggs have 2 times the omega-3 as caged, 3 times the vitamin D, 4 times the vitamin E, and 7 times the beta-carotene that these caged eggs have. Because these chickens are living a normal, healthy life, they're eating things naturally, and they're not being fed a bunch of fake food and living on top of each other. Last thing, you heard me talk about organic a couple times, right? All that means is the food that the chickens are being fed is non-GMO and it's organic, and that's great. If you can't afford the $7 pasture-raised chicken eggs, go ahead and get the cage-free or the free-range organic chicken eggs. It's better than nothing. It's better than the caged, hormone, antibiotic, GMO-filled chicken eggs that nobody should honestly be eating. Next, let's talk about the color of the yolk. Piggybacking off of what we just talked about, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna crack a caged chicken egg next to a pasture-raised organic chicken egg. As you can see, the pasture-raised chicken egg is much darker. It has a lot more nutrients, and that is the difference. What's crazy is egg suppliers realize that the public is catching on that we don't want this light highlighter yellow chicken egg yolk because it's not good. It's not as nutritious. So what are they doing? They're feeding their chickens more yellow food like corn and turmeric in order to change the color of that yolk to fool us into thinking we're eating a more nutritious egg. Let's talk about pasteurized eggs. So you've probably heard the words pasteurized egg before. All this means is the eggs were warmed up to a certain degree to kill any and all bacteria. That way they're safe to use in a raw dish. So like mayo or an aioli for an example, we use a raw egg and we don't cook the mayo, but there's no chance of us getting sick from salmonella because the eggs have been pasteurized. If you crack them open, they're still raw inside and you can use them without worrying about getting sick. Time for some fast facts. Did you know you can tell how old an egg is by how runny the whites are? The runnier the white, the older the egg. You scared of salmonella in eggs? Well, guess what? 1 in every 20,000 eggs has salmonella. Cut the clock. Last thing I want to talk about that's pretty cool is a Julienne date. So if you look on your packaging next to where it says sell by, there's a number right here, 81. That means on the 81st day of 2022, these eggs were packaged. So if you ever want to know how old your eggs are, all you do is look at the Julienne date. These were packaged on the 68th day of the year, which means that these eggs are almost a month old. Gross. Let's talk about cookware. Now that you know which eggs to buy, we're going to talk about what you need to cook the perfect eggs. And that is always, in almost every situation, going to be a non-stick pan and a silicone fish spatula. I will link them below. These are what you need. Last thing we're talking about, egg snot. So the internet's going crazy. Jacqueline's going crazy over 2 words, and that is egg snot. What is it? It's just the runny egg white or the albumin of the egg that hasn't fully cooked and solidified. And luckily, I'm gonna show you how to make 7 perfect different styles of eggs without any egg snot, and that's exactly what we're gonna do. Let's go. The first egg is fried sunny side up. All right, for our sunny side up, we are gonna put the heat on low. We're gonna put our pan on there, and after about 2 minutes, once that pan starts to warm up, I like to add grapeseed oil because I'm not a fan of butter in my eggs. It's all preference. As you can see, once I crack the egg here, it starts to turn white almost immediately. This means the pan is a little bit hot, but it's not bubbling, which is what we want. Out here, we have that albumin ring, that egg snot, right? So we see everything is cooking. I take a different approach. I just take my silicone spatula and I start to pull the egg apart where that egg white is uncooked. And what that does is just expose that hot pan to those uncooked egg whites. That way we get a more even cook without the bottom of the egg getting burnt. So I like to do this for, a couple minutes. Once I feel like all those egg whites are cooked to my satisfaction, all I do is scoop that egg up and we can throw it on a plate with a little bit of salt and pepper. Next, we have a fried over easy egg. Okay, over easy, same exact thing. We have that low heat, the same pan, we got the same oil in there. We're We're cracking that egg on a flat surface, that way we don't do it on an edge and make the eggshell break the inside. A couple minutes have gone by, you can see I'm just pulling that egg white apart so the uncooked egg whites can hit the bottom of that pan. The only difference between this and a sunny side up egg is once we feel like we're 97% of the way there, we flip it just like that. We leave it on the other side for about 7 to 10 seconds and then we plate. As you can see, the egg yolk broke, we blot it up, we have an over easy egg. Next, we have a fried over medium egg. All right, next, over medium, the same exact process that we have done for the last 2 eggs. We got our oil in there, that low heat, and once we crack it, we can see this is a little hotter than before because the egg is starting to dance there at the bottom. But I just turn the heat down and I just follow the same exact process. I'm pulling back the egg whites in the parts where they're uncooked, just so this thing can get a nice even cook without overcooking the bottom of the egg. So once again, once we get about 97% of the way there, we're just gonna give this a quick flip, and this is an over medium egg, so we're gonna let it go for about 15 to 20 seconds on the other side. This is not my favorite, but some people like their eggs like this, and that is how you make an over medium egg. Voila. Next, we've got a soft boiled egg. All right, we're gonna take a medium sauce pot and then we are just going to fill it up about 3 inches of hot water, put it on a high burner with the lid on. Separately, we're going to make an ice bath. Ice in a bowl with water, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Once that water comes to a boil, all we do is we just drop our eggs in there nice and gently. We don't want those eggshells to break, so lower them in there gently and we're gonna let it go for 7 minutes. As soon as you hit that 7-minute mark, we drop them into the ice bath. Not to make them cold, but to stop the cooking process. We don't want that yolk to overcook. We want it to be nice and custardy. So I leave them in there for about 15-20 seconds until I can hold them without them burning my hand. And then over a sink, I like to just take the back of a spoon and break that eggshell around. I just gently hit it to make those little fractures. Once it's fully cracked, I hold it under the water and I just let that water kind of separate the eggshell and the actual egg. And this prevents your soft-boiled eggs from just breaking apart and getting shredded. This is my favorite process to getting that eggshell off. Beautiful, then we just give it a nice slice right down the middle and voila, the perfect soft-boiled egg. Next, we've got a hard-boiled egg. We're gonna do the same exact process. 3 inches of water, high burner, lid, ice bath. Once it comes to a boil, we drop our eggs in, but this time we are gonna let them cook for 9 minutes. As soon as we hit that 9-minute mark, make sure you do a timer, that way you're accurate with this. We're gonna drop it into that ice bath again for about 15 to 20 seconds or until we can hold them without it burning our hand. Then we're just gonna crack that eggshell, run it under the water, peel it off, slice it, and the perfect hard-boiled egg. Now we've got a poached egg. Okay, so we got that same pot and we're going 3/4 of the way full this time. Then high burner, high heat. We're gonna wanna get that to a slight simmer. We crack our egg into a separate bowl, a little bit different, and then we're gonna add a couple tablespoons of white distilled vinegar. Once that water starts to come to a boil, we do not want it to boil. We just want bubbles on the bottom. We make this whirlpool right here, and then we drop our egg right in the center of the whirlpool. The vinegar is gonna help it from spiderwebbing out, and the whirlpool is gonna help it from the white spiderwebbing out. All we do is we leave it in here for about 3 minutes, just on a very, very, very gentle simmer. I don't even know if I would consider it a simmer. It's just slight bubbles on the bottom. Then we pull it out, blot it off, and you have yourself the perfect poached egg. And lastly, we've got our scrambled eggs. Okay, I take a different approach to scrambled eggs. I usually do 3 eggs. I crack them into a bowl. For every egg, I do a pinch of salt and 6 to 8 cranks of black cracked pepper. Pop those yolks with a whisk or fork, and then we're gonna beat the eggs for 1 or 2 minutes. We wanna make sure all those egg whites are nice and broken up and make sure this is a smooth consistency. Once we have those egg whites beaten, we're gonna put our flame on low. It is super important to cook your scrambled eggs on a low heat in a non-stick pan. Now I'm adding a 1.5 tablespoons of butter. Once that butter is 3/4 of the way melted, we just pour our eggs in, okay? At this point, it is just a lot of babysitting. You can see I'm immediately moving the eggs around because I don't want them to set. I like my scrambled eggs to have a nice small curd, and I like them to be nice and moist. So what I'm doing here is I'm letting it sit for about 5 seconds, and then immediately I'm going in and I'm just kind of moving those eggs around. That way I'm not getting those big curds and I'm not letting it set too fast. I just repeat the process for another couple minutes. As you can see, it's starting to thicken up here. We can see those curds are forming, and we can see right there on the bottom of the pan, that white, that's that egg cooking. So now we know at this point, we see the evaporation of the water in the egg. We can keep these things moving. Let it sit for just a few seconds, then we're going right back in and we're gonna move those eggs around. Like I said, it's a lot of babysitting. It's a lot of movement, but I'm telling you, these are the perfect eggs. We can see here almost all of the liquid is gone at this point. I'm just moving it around, trying to get that last little bit of uncooked egg out of there. All right, at this point, this is just a preference thing. If you like your eggs a little more dry, you can leave them in here a little longer, but I, again, like a nice moist egg. You can see here, these are almost the perfect consistency. We're going for a almost French scramble. And then at this point, I'm just making sure all of those uncooked egg whites are out of there. I'm scooping it out into a nice pile, and then I just like to finish it off with some chives, bulletproof every single time. Hey, at this point, you are a true egg professional. You now know how to make eggs perfectly 7 different ways. That way you could have a different one every single day of the week. And you also know what eggs to look for in the store and what to avoid. And you learned a couple egg facts. Hey, if you made it this far, I appreciate y'all for watching. Please scroll down, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and drop a comment below and let me know which style of these eggs you are excited to make. My name is Farnum. This is the 101 series here on More Seasoning. We out.